Let's talk about Taylor Lorenz.
Oh, no.
So we got the story from the Washington Post, how the Biden administration let right-wing attacks derail its disinformation efforts. I don't understand why the Washington Post doesn't label this stuff opinion, and I don't understand why NewsGuard gives them a 100 of 100 when they don't label opinion. In it, she says right here that disinformation has emerged as an urgent and important issue. Important to whom? That's your opinion. Hey, why don't you put an opinion on this? People see this stuff and they think it's facts. It is not. It is Taylor Lorenz's opinion on what happened. So anyway, in the article, she falsely claims it was right-wing disinformation that derailed it when Bill Maher on his show came out and said, this is ridiculous. These are not bright people. What are they doing? Bill Maher, one of the most prominent liberal voices, said this is bad, but it was all the right wing. Now, you know what I'm offended by? She doesn't give Bill Maher any of the credit, and she gives it all to you.
Yeah, she gives it to the
That's
Post-Millennial.
not fair.
She claims that the Post-Millennial was part of this campaign to take down the Disinformation Governance Board. And, you know, perhaps we were. Perhaps we should take some credit for that.
Was she knocking on your door?
Speech. No, she wasn't, actually. She's never reached out to us. She blocked me on Twitter. I found that out one time when I reached out to her for a comment about how she had doxed libs of TikTok for no apparent reason.
And she blocked me on Twitter. It was completely unreasonable. Mm-hmm. All I did was put up a billboard in Times Square saying that she doxed libs of TikTok, and then she blocked me.
And Seamus, are you blocked by Taylor Lorenz
Let's
too?
see. Liz, I
that
guess
would
this is going to be a litmus test of whether I'm like a real concern. Are you blocked?
I'm blocked.
I don't know.
Really?
Why
You are?
Yeah, is that the
Why
threshold?
did she block you?
Hold on.
I think she might have blocked people by like if you
like a blocked
follow,
list.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I'm on a lot of those. What's interesting though is that she's claiming that we dug up Nina Jankowicz's past social media posts and published articles to generate controversy. It was not to generate controversy. It was to expose exactly who was the minister of truth, who was running this bogus organization, who was running this operation, to expose who it was that the Biden administration thought it was worthwhile to put in charge of something this serious, someone who had spread disinformation themselves, someone who had, you know, essentially called for censorship, and someone who clearly should not be trusted to give accurate or truthful information.
It is extremely ironic because Jack Posobiec just found Jankowicz's early tweets and released them. And
he took a
it's
look
ironic
at it,
because that's the first thing Taylor Lorenz does when she tries to make a hit piece on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
They just look up their old tweets. So
this is what Glenn Greenwald pointed out. He said, according to Taylor Lorenz, you are not allowed to dig into the private information of high-ranking Homeland Security officials. But it's okay to go after an anonymous person who has bad ideas.
No, exactly. Like, when did the role of journalist become being tattletales on your average person? Like, someone on Twitter said something that I don't like.
Exactly
I need to expose
when
them.
that happened.
almost always, hasn't it?
That happened.
But like the average person, I don't know.
how
it happened with me too. It happened with me too, because that was the first time when it was acceptable to just start telling tales out of school about somebody's bad date.
I think I view journalists like mini-me. Like Dr. Evil is the government and mini-me is just like, you know.
Well, I mean, you made this point that that's always what they've done. I agree with you that it's always been very much corrupt. I mean, the mainstream media in this country has been a disaster for a lot longer than people realize. But it's the going after like everyday average random people thing, which is very strange and new.
There are creepy weirdo authoritarians running most of our institutions. Mm-hmm. When you look at the Supreme Court leaks, like these crackpots, these people are in everything. They have no regard for tradition or culture. And I'm not saying all tradition, all culture. I'm saying they have no regard for community. They have no regard for any kind of norms, respect. They have. I imagine they have their moral compass. Their moral foundation. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Zero. Nothing. They don't even have care and fairness. It's just literally nothing. They're just confused, angry people.
Well, they think that they're doing the right thing.
I don't believe that.
You don't think that they think they're doing the right thing? I think they think that they're doing the appropriate thing by leaking this information.
I think they're NPCs.
You think Taylor Lorenz is an NPC?
No. I think Taylor Lorenz is the perfect example of a modern shock jock. I think, you know, based on conversations I've had with people in the industry, it seems to me, it's my opinion, that she was hired specifically to generate outrage and controversy by writing shock content that is bordering on defamation. The goal being, Why are we talking about the Washington Post now? Because she writes something that's a clear opinion, not labeled as opinion, knowing it'll anger a lot of people. She accuses only the right, ignores Bill Maher, which will clearly, the right will be like, hey, you can't say, like, that's not true and you're wrong. And then shows will produce segments where we'll talk about her. It will generate earned press, and that's what they want. So I've had some conversations. I'm trying to get better confirmation, but my understanding is that the people at the Post are well aware of it, that there are veteran journalists who throw up in their mouths a little bit every day because they're sickened by what the paper has become, because they know she was brought on specifically as a shock jock, as a culture warrior shock jock to generate scandal, and that's her thing.
Well, and she does, and then she goes on TV and cries about it when people don't like what she writes.
For better or worse, I think reporting's always had this issue where people have been activists, but the more I get involved and the more I pay attention to the news, the more I realize that it's almost everybody that's an activist reporter nowadays. It's hard to find anybody who isn't really just trying to back up their priors. This is extremely true with Taylor Lorenz, but she's not the only one.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, I've probably brought him up a million times on this show, but we talk a bit about Walter Duranty every now and again. I mean, this is very early stuff. We're going back to the 30s here, and the fact that he was covering up the Soviet genocide because he was himself a communist and won a Pulitzer for it.
And they're winning Pulitzers for fake news to this day.
I don't think they rescinded that Pulitzer.
They did not rescind
That's
the Pulitzer.
what it was too.
Refused
They
to.
didn't rescind it either, which is
insane.
We've talked about doing our own journalistic award ceremony to counter the Pulitzers.
The
Because we
Timmys?
could. I would not call it that. That's a terrible name.
Yeah.
But we would call it something. Maybe like the Truth Award. That's great branding. Like if you call your social network Truth Social.
that's what Trump would call it.
I
Man,
don't
that's
think you
just-
should call it that.
No, I think it's a terrible idea. A lot of people.
think so, too.
He's
It's a
actually
terrible name.
trademarked the
It
word
is a
truth.
terrible
You
name.
can't
Yeah,
take
people.
it.
Someone pointed out. I saw a tweet. They're like, "Why didn't he call it Kafifi?" And like
That would have been
everybody
really clever and
would have been
cute.
like, "Download the Kafifi app," and
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
would want it.
Oh, that's true.
Trump's
Solid
Kafifi
point.
app, and you need a weird name, but it's just like Truth, and then you post truths.
I hate that. I hate posting truths.
There's a disinformation
I
board.
have
Like
an
you
issue
post
with
anything
that.
that's not true, you're kicked off the website. Like that's it.
right?
I'm gonna retruth. Jeez.
Retruth.
Yikes.
Terrible
That
branding.
actually sounds like something the Disinformation Governance Board would do. They would retruth.
I think the institutions are in decay. I think that the culture war is split between those in the know and those who are not in the know. It has nothing to do with your political positions, because I think everyone here has varying political positions we all disagree with each other on, because we've had these conversations before to a great degree, including foreign war or abortion. But we all agree on basically what's the fact. And so if that's what unites this table and the people watching, we're like, okay, what's true and what's not true? What can be verified? What's not verified? And then the other side of the culture war are people who have no idea the Democrats tried to make a legal path towards third trimester or late term abortions.
Well, they did. It's right there in the.
But they didn't read the book. I mean, I'm sorry, they didn't read the bill.
Oh,
So-
it's right
so-
there. I read the bill.
But that's exactly it. So if I read the bill and I'm like, that's what it says, why does it say that? And then we have a liberal progressive on the show who are like, no. It's like, did you read the bill? No.
You have to read the bill. That was like
they
with the
don't. They
parental
don't.
rights and education bill. No one read that bill either. And so you had a bunch of people coming out, including Mark Hamill, just being like, yay, yay.
And it's like, what are you
yay.
talking-
And it's
what are you-
like, no one is prohibited from
Children.
saying that. What are you
Children.
talking about? It's
They are
saying
children.
don't teach them about weird sex acts in school.
It literally, when they were all screaming gay over and over again, I'm like, imagine being in a daycare and all the kids are yelling neener, neener, and you're like, kids, be quiet. Kids, stop yelling that. And they're all going neener, neener, and they won't stop. That's what it is.
Yes.
They're all yelling something, and you're like, why are you yelling this? Some kid goes, hey, if you yell neener, neener, they're going to get us ice cream. So they all start screaming, and you're like, I'm not going to do that. That's not children.
Yes.
They don't know what they're talking about. They're too arrogant to actually read it. They believe the psychotic ramblings of people like Taylor Lorenz. And then we have to deal with the problems when they go and vote for nonsensical garbage.
Yes. like children suddenly believing that they are actually the opposite sex just because they came up with it randomly.
It's crazy because
And
the
wanna wear
truth
towels, you know.
here in these larger narratives almost doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the bill says as long as you're allowed to run on it and are able to run on it as like the Don't Say Gay bill. That's the only thing that people are
Well,
going to
and that
really
was
understand.
disinformation. That was disinformation, and it was repeated by the White House over and over again. It was repeated in the briefing room. You know, it's disinformation that Joe Biden says that the, you know, best course forward is gender affirmation, telling parents to affirm their children and it will save their lives. That's disinformation. This White House consistently spreads falsehoods and claims that it's true.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.